Hi, Tony B. I'm introducing the adventures of Frank, my Uncle John and Frank, my dad. My dad's so awesome, and his stories, they resonate so deep in you. What an experienced man. Wisdom, knowledge, humor, humility, and the heart so big. Check this video out. You're gonna love it. Tony B, this is my dad, Uncle Johnny.
Hi there.
Frank B,
I'm Frank, that's John.
My godfather. In for what?
In for the story of the century.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a quick story about a miniature golf course that you're not going to quite believe, although you may believe it. My father was very industrious and he was always building something. So when he had nothing else to do, he'd sit around, think about what to build, and he'd start building something. But he always tried to build something that would make money. So he thought of these miniature golf course thing. So one day he brings a truckload of old lumber that he got out of the house they were tearing apart somewhere over and dumps it out on the side of our house. And my mother, what the hell are you doing now? He said, I'm going to build a golf course over here. No, you're not. Yes, I am. And they had a big fight. So he
Don't have enough to fight about, right?
starts building the golf course, and he built this miniature golf course, which was very ingenious, by the way. He didn't know what to put on the cement because he poured concrete for the ramps and the chutes and stuff, but he didn't know what to put on it. So he had a lot of friends that were carpet layers. They laid carpeting, so he got the carpeting from them, and he'd dye it. He took some 50-gallon drums and welded them together. So they had these long 50-gallon vats, and he put green dye in it. And he'd take the carpeting, the rolls of carpeting, and soak them in there for a couple of days. Then he'd take them out. Then he'd take it out and let it dry out. And he'd roll it out on the green and take a knife and just cut around the edges. And then he'd roll back half of it and put glue, and he'd flip it back. He'd roll back the other half, put some glue, and then flip it back. And there was his putting course.
I wasn't around then, but I hear you had some pretty interesting
Oh my God, you wouldn't believe some of the things that went on in that house. So we moved that house
In New Milford.
in Milford.
Milford.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We moved it from where it was when my mother and father bought it. This isn't part of the story. Back to like where that house is over there. We picked it up off of the foundation. We built a new foundation in the back to put a cellar under it. There was no cellar. Dug it all out by hand. Put a basement under it. And picked the house up and rolled it back on logs on like telephone poles.
Well, this was like Route 7 back then. It was, but it wasn't that heavily traveled. But Milford now, it's Boston Post Road is where it was.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, the Boston
It
Post
was a
Road.
very busy
It's
road.
a
And
monopoly
the
of the
only-
metropolis.
That was the main route to US 1. Was the main, US 1 goes all the way to Florida too.
Okay, where we lived on the Boston Post Road, which is known as Route 1, US 1, runs all the way from, I think from Bangor, Maine to Miami. And it was the first US highway in the country, I believe. And there was a lot of activity around there. Across the street, there was a truck stop. They had trailer trucks coming and going and fueling up, and people sleeping over there and taking showers and getting in fights. And after a hard day's work at driving the truck, they would get drunk and get in fights with each other. Anyway, this one morning, it was like about 5 o'clock in the morning. I heard this like a grunt. It was like a, huh?
He's laughing.
I
Yeah.
laugh hysterically every time, and you're going to be too.
It was like a grunt noise. It was like, ooh. And so I peeked out between we had the
You didn't tell the
Venetian.
story yet, Uncle John.
No, I already know what happened too.
He knows the
We had
end, huh?
Venetian blinds. You ever see Venetian blinds? They're like slats that when you turn the thing, they go like this. We had those. So I went over, we had bunk beds. And the bunk beds were up against the windows in the house. Because all my brothers, we needed a place to sleep. So anyway, I peek out between the Venetian blinds, and here's Chet.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was deader than a doornail. He hung himself. He got on his horse, and for some reason, he decides to pick our backyard. We had an apple tree back there. It was a perfect hanging tree. And Chet decides to commit hara-kiri. So I yelled, I screamed, I said, Mama, Mama, Chet just hung himself. Call the police. Call an ambulance. And meanwhile he's dangling there like his nerves were still at work. I think he was dead, but his nerves were still working.
Oh.
And he wasn't too responsive, but my mother yells back, stop bothering me, I'm trying to get your lunches ready for school. Because every day she had to make all these 6 school lunches, right?
Like me.
So she, Frankie, stop fooling around with me this morning. Hurry up and get dressed. It's getting late. So I'm like, oh, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I said, please come and look. Please just do me a favor and look. So she comes over to the window. She goes like this. You didn't need a siren. You didn't need a siren.
Well, tell him why Chet was there on a horse, though. Tell him the reason. You know what?
Oh, there was a stable 2 buildings down. Like I said, it's a very industrious area, and there was a stable, it was a horse riding stable, 2 buildings down. People used to go over there and ride horses. And one of my aunts from New York, my crazy Aunt Alice, her husband was a taxi cab driver in the Bronx, and he died, and this guy Chet hooked on to her. She liked to ride the horseback ride, and he used to take her out on trail rides with other people, and he hooked on to her. And I don't know if he commit suicide because of her or what, but she always joked about it after that.
Yeah, she did.
He was chasing her. He was chasing her, and she rode the horse right into
the house. Yeah.
Into your house?
Yeah,
Your family's house?
the front door was open. There was a plank. Like I say, we were moving the house.
Yeah.
I didn't know where he gets all his crazy time from.
I see.
And we're,
Yeah, Alice.
my father had a couple of thick planks, lumber, up into the front door, and the front door was
You
open.
met her, didn't you?
And Chet was chasing her on a horse. She come galloping up the plank. She gallops right through the front door,
Oh my God.
right up into the house. She's riding around in the living room. My mother's screaming, what are you doing with that horse in my house?
All right.
So, anyway, the police came, and of course, the ambulances, the fire engines. They had Route 1 blocked up for 40 miles in each direction.
Where'd the horse go?
The school was canceled. The horse took off. The horse took off. He must have went back to the stables, I would imagine. Or either that, he went out on a trail ride by himself. And this guy, Chet, he loved horses. He was a cowboy. He was a real cowboy. He proves it the way he checked out.
That's how cowboys should go?
That's how they usually do
Make
it.
that face again with the noose. The tongue hanging out. Building next door, the Beard Brothers.
No, the building next door belonged to the Beard Brothers. They rented it to this company. It was like a little manufacturing place.
So this is next door to
Next door to my house.
Yeah.
My house was here,
Yeah.
and the Beard building was here, and in the backyard was the tree, and the post road was here.
Okay.
So anyway,
Logistics here.
one night I'm go to bed, 11 o'clock or so, watch a little TV with my dad. I went to bed. When I got in bed, I got under the covers because I was scared. Ever since Chet took care of himself,
Ah, you
I
were
was just a kid.
What happened? You went to bed under the
I went to bed under the covers, under the sheets, under the pillow. I was all
You've been
scared.
hiding since Chet.
Yeah,
Awful
at
stuff.
night, when I go to bed at night after the Chet incident, I didn't want any hobgoblins getting in bed with me.
Scared of the dark, huh?
Yeah. So, you wonder where kids get it from. So then, all of a sudden I hear this thumping noise, like a sledgehammer pounding noise. And the window on that end of the bunk bed was up at the head of the bed, right? So I look out and I see these pieces of cement block flying off the side of the building into our yard. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
So were you on the top bunk or the
Huh?
lower bunk? Were you on the top bunk or the lower bunk?
I was on the lower bunk.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, they backed this truck up to the side of the building. They put a chain through the hole up here in the wall and a chain out down here.
Yeah.
And they ripped the side of the wall out of the building, right?
Didn't have time to
And
sledgehammer it.
Dragged it into my backyard over by the Chet tree. And then, so now I'm getting interested. So all of a sudden they backed the truck up again. Then they dragged a chain in there and put it through the handle on the safe, a big safe about half the size of that golf cart. It was a pretty good size safe, heavy. And they dragged it with the truck out into the backyard. And I don't know why, but they insisted on standing it up. But they had a hard time getting it to stand up because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
But they finally got it up on its feet. And and they started drilling holes in it. Very noisy procedure, but they did it. And
Was your father
Huh?
awake? Did your father get alarmed when he heard this?
no,
No.
What did Grandpa do?
nothing. He stayed sleeping.
He was
He was beat from supporting us and moving houses and building golf courses, and he was whipped. So it was something like me. I used to go to hit the hay early. So then, all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, I hear this explosion. The whole little house we lived in, it was half the size of that house over there. And when that explosion went off, the house just, I'm watching it, just lifted off of the floor, off of the foundation. The concussion from the explosion was so powerful.
Boom!
Yeah. And the door, it went quite a ways, the door from this vault. They knew what they were doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
These guys weren't,
They were good safe crackers?
yeah. So then, next thing you know, my mother gets up screaming. Just trying to wake my father up. Tony, wake up, wake up, wake up. What's wrong with you? Get out of bed. Didn't you hear that explosion? Somebody's trying to blow the house up.
Talk about a sound sleeper.
So then, my father gets up. He says, I guess you better call the police or call somebody. He says, there's quite an explosion out here. So he goes out and looks around the yard, and these guys are running around with bags, with these canvas bags, picking up money, cash, stuffing it in these bags and throwing it in the truck window.
Apparently it was the day before payday, right? They used to get paid
Yeah.
in cash. Everybody got paid in cash.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the sirens are coming, so they heard the police coming. The police were stupid those days. They always put on the sirens and let you know they're on the way so they don't get shot. So then, I guess they figured the police got too close, so they hopped in the truck and they took off, and they left a few bucks laying around. I'll tell you, I found,
Really?
a couple of days later, I found some in the bushes. So The police came and chased them down Route 1, and they were barricading Route 1 and everything. Listen to that cardinal.
Yeah, did they catch him?
Yeah, they did catch those guys.
Okay.
Yep.
But back then they didn't have the
Technology.
phones or anything,
No.
contact.
Right.
Yeah. It's easier to catch a thief today than it was then.
Forensic.
That's incredible. You had
Yeah.
a lot going on.
What do you hear? A bird up there?
Yeah. I think it's a cardinal.
You was here yesterday, you word.
I think he has found a girlfriend over there. And he's singing to her.
Or fighting.
Then he hears me and he starts singing to me. So, anyway, they caught those two clowns. This is John, Janet, Tatiana,
Jeanette.
Janet, and Jeanette.
Well,
I always get them crossed up.
Introduce yourself. You know we do, right?
And I'm Frank,
FrankB.
the world's greatest traveler.
That's right.
World's greatest storyteller.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah. So as always, if you like this video, thumbs up. As my dad Frank says, subscribe below. If you're new to this channel, yeah, he's awesome. Thanks, Uncle Johnny. Thanks for the stories. Look at this place, huh? Meditation center. Check that out. Yeah. Thank you. See ya.